Good morning, everyone. I just woke up, and happy election day from yesterday. Congrats to our new president, Barack Obama. I'm really excited for what's to come in the future. But other than that, I'm here to talk about my trip from Boston. I decided to do a video because I have enough homework and writing assignments as it is, and I really don't want to have to type up everything I did in Boston. For one, it would take forever, and number two, I don't think anyone has a care to read everything that I did, so I'd rather just talk about it. So it was my first airplane ride. I was really nervous, and I didn't know what to expect at first, so I didn't freak out or throw up or anything like I thought. When we took off, I just started busting up laughing. I was just like, because some people told me it was like a roller coaster, and I guess it kind of was. And I've been on roller coasters before, so I'm like, well, how bad can an airplane ride be? But the feeling, it was different. You get the whole, your stomach turns and your head is like, woo, and I got a window seat, which is pretty cool, so I got to actually watch us take off. At first, I shut it, and Wendy's like, no, watch, it's the best part. So I opened up the window, and it was pretty cool. It was 6 o'clock in the morning, so it was dark, so it looked like Christmas out on the ground with all the lights. And all I have to say is the imagery on a plane, day or night, when you're at 35,000 feet in the air, it's just unreal. Like, it just looks fake. And, being on a plane, I didn't feel like I was that high. It was pretty smooth. It was a good flight. I really enjoyed it. It was just long, It was 3 hours to Houston and then, more than 3 hours to Boston. And then we had the same layover on the way back. So it was like 14 hours of flight. So I was like, ugh. So we got to Boston at 5:30 on Halloween on Friday. And the first thing Wendy and I were to do was to find our room. And we took the shuttle to the subway, which was crazy. It just driving through that town. Wendy and I were going to rent a car at first, but then we were like, no, because it's crazy. There's just cars everywhere. Even walking through Boston was hard enough. So I'm really glad we didn't rent a car, because we would have either gotten in an accident or gotten severely lost, or just, it was crazy. So when I finally got back to Chico, I was like, oh, wow, it's really mellow over here compared to any other big city. So we took the shuttle to the subway, and it was also my first time on a subway, which is pretty cool. And Wendy and I did a pretty good job, teaming up and navigating the subway system. And so, it was pretty good. We never got lost or got on the wrong train. So we did a pretty good job of that. We just always had our map, and we're always looking at the signs as to where to go. And it was interesting. Subway's always packed, always. Most of the time we had to stand, which was really different, because when I got back to Chico and rode the bus to work, the bus was pretty full, and I had to stand in the bus. And an elderly gentleman actually got up and said, here, you take my seat, which was really different compared to if you're on the subway and you're standing, no one's going to offer you their seat unless you're, disabled or elderly, I guess. I think even then, no one really cares. Everyone's doing their own thing. It's very fast-paced city life, so no one's really paying attention. So the hotel that we stayed at was the Boston Park Plaza Hotel, and that's where the whole convention was held. And let me tell you, it was the fanciest hotel I've ever stayed at, and you could see that from the pictures that I took too, even though they're not very good. But I'm only used to hotels, motels that have 1 to 3 stories. Wendy and I were at the 15th floor. Yeah, it was the highest floor, and what happened was Wendy and I checked in. We're trying to check into our room, and they didn't have any rooms with 2 beds left in the hotel. So they had to give us a different room, and by the time we got there, we found out that it was a double bed. And Wendy and I are looking at each other like, no, that's not going to work. I'm like, I love you, Wendy, but don't want to be that close to you. It's kind of small, and the room was small too for 2 ladies to stay together. So we let the front desk know, and they told us, okay, yeah, we'll upgrade you. So we got to the 15th floor, which is called the Towers, and it's really fancy. It's on the same floor as the presidential suite, so that can kind of tell you a little bit about how fancy it was. Well, plus I took pictures, so take a look at those. We had a bigger room and a king-size bed, so Wendy and I, never even touched each other while we were sleeping, so it was fine. But still very fancy. We got a deluxe continental breakfast, which included eggs and parfaits, bagels, and fruit, and juice, coffee, lots of cool stuff in this really fancy lounge. I'm using the word fancy a lot because, well, that's the best word I could think of, because this is by far, it was really nice, really, really nice. And we got all the amenities, and even Brad, our supervisor, was like, wow, you guys really lucked out here. So overall, Boston was pretty cool. I mean, I wish I could have gotten to see more of the city than I did. I got to see the North End. Got to go to Mike's Pastry Shop, which was insane. I swear to God, people kill themselves to get a pastry over on the East Coast. All of the pastry shops in the North End had lines, like 5 to 10 shops down the block. I was like, what is so great about these pastries? I had a cannoli, which was pretty good. It was really rich. But I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't stand in line forever for this. It must be the coffee or something. But it was insane. Totally packed, like a pastry club or something. They needed a bouncer, for crying out loud. It was always so busy. And I guess they're always like that. The whole time we were there, it was just insane. So pastries are a big deal over on the East Coast. And yeah, it was very, very different. Also, while I was in the North End, I got to eat at this really expensive restaurant. It was called the Union Oyster House. And stupid me, whenever I kept seeing the sign Union Oyster House, I kept thinking Onion Oyster House. I'm like, oh, we're going to stay at the Onion Oyster House. And Wendy's like, what? That doesn't even sound good, onions and oysters. But I didn't have oysters there. I just had some clam chowder, and I had lobster ravioli, which was heaven. Absolutely heaven. Very creamy and just delightful. It was awesome. I'm going to have to go to Red Lobster here and see if they have lobster ravioli. However, it probably is not near as good as it was at the Union Oyster House. The Union Oyster House is actually the oldest restaurant in America. It was 3 stories tall, and we got to eat at the 3rd story. And it was really cool. They had a little gift shop. I got a lobster pillow there. Here it is. Isn't he cute? And it says Boston. And I got him to be friends with my frog pillow. So they match, and they're friends. No. Okay. I got to see my Aunt Emily, which is pretty cool, considering I haven't seen her since I was 3 years old. So my mom was really excited that I got to see her, because my mom hasn't seen her in like 20-some-odd years. And I got to drink a Cheers, which was cool. I didn't go to the replica of the one that you saw on TV, but I got to go to the original, and it was really small. It was just a bar and like not even 10 booths for dinner. But I got to have a drink and some clam chowder. Other than that, I really just did the conference the whole time I was there. It was really nice. I got to meet lots of really cool, motivated, and inspiring people there. It was a really great experience, and I really hope to pursue what I've learned at the conference at orientation when I start work again at Butte College. So I'm really grateful that I got to go and see the East Coast even, and just go on a trip. It was absolutely wonderful, and also really glad to be back home and back with my kitty. This is Sweetie. I had to leave her for 5 days, so I'm really glad to be back home with her. All right, so if you guys have any other questions for me about my trip, feel free to ask me, comment me, or text me, something like that. All right, bye.